welcome to Wednesday Night on Cable 10. I'm your host, Nate Bello. And this week's guest will be Eddie deSouza. And you may know Eddie. He's a great musician, and he's been an entertainer for a few decades in Quesnel. And he has a show on Shaw, You're the Star, which is really getting a lot of positive response. And there is something you didn't know about Eddie. Eddie is actually wild about compost toilets. Well, now wait a minute. Don't switch that channel, because a lot of ideas that were thought over the top in the past now are part of our daily routine. So, composting toilet may be an idea whose time has come. Just think about recycling. We hardly did it until the 90s, and now it's full blown, and many people recycle in this community. And before we start this interview with Eddie deSouza, I'd like to caution viewers that the following interview may contain parts that may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hi Eddie, how are you?
I'm doing really good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. The reason why I said that, as I said in the preview, as a prelim to our interview a few minutes ago, the idea is that we're going to talk about composting, but composting that has to do with toilets. And you are the president, the co-founder, and everything else of the Human Log movement. Is that true?
That's right. Actually, folks, I came up with that idea last night at 11 o'clock. So.
No, but I mean, we're going to laugh a little bit about it, but it's a tremendous idea. So when did you become involved in human log management?
Well, Nate,
as we might call log.
Okay, I read a book in the late 80s called The Wheel of Health. Mm-hmm. And it was an amazing book. Mm-hmm. It talked about the Hunza people in northern India and how they have an incredibly long lifespan. But one of the main things that they talked about is how in the Wheel of Health they composted everything, including human logs.
Mm-hmm. And so the thing is that is this actually being done now in North America in anywhere?
Well, as far as I know, Austin, Texas allowed some hot composting toilets to be put into their state. And I know there's places like on Vancouver Island where they're so low that they can't put in septic tanks. Mm-hmm. And so they have to allow composting toilets there. Powell River. Mm-hmm. is one for sure.
So we're going to talk about the details of what exactly it looks like in a little bit. But you are actually writing a book about this, I understand?
That's right. Like most of the books on the market today, there's so many books about the environment and everything. Very few of them talk about human logs. But I want to make it a subject that people can relate to. Even young people can say, "Wow, you mean we used to put our human logs in water? Yuck!" And that's my 10-year project.
And flush them away somewhere else.
That's right, and not have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that people are going to worry about, and maybe we could talk about it throughout this interview, is the hygienic aspect of it. That you actually can take your excrement and do something else other than just flush it away.
Yes. Okay. So there's a process called hot composting, and that's what you do with all the composting that's going on. I know Kersley School has taken on composting. Now, if we take that a step further, and like I said, this is going to be a long project that people are going to have to get around. Right. And I just want to show the difference between water, if you flush it down the toilet, how much water you're using, mm-hmm. and if you use sawdust, which is the hot composting thing, how much you're going to save, mm-hmm. right?
Right. So this actually brings. Let's go back. So one of the motives of this is to conserve water, and you actually have worked on this. You wrote a song about water. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. In 2006, I was invited to go up to Takla Landing to work with the youth up there at the Takla Landing Community College. Mm-hmm. And one of my jobs was to teach the children about a project where Chemist Mines was going to be putting up a great big dam and turning Takla Lake into a tailings pit, which would kill everything in the lake and all the shore surrounding it. So the local First Nations were up in arms, and there was a huge battle.
What's the name of those First Nations up there?
Well, they're carrier as
Oh,
well.
okay.
Yeah, the Takla carriers,
Takla
and there's actually 4 bands up there.
Okay. And they were up in arms.
They were up in arms, and yeah, they asked me to teach about the value of water. So I came up with the song "Water," and I taught it to all the children up there.
And we're going to show that right now. So let's sit back and watch it, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay? Now let's roll the clip.
I
Hey, that was a great video, and thanks a lot for doing that. You went up there. You went up there, and I guess you had a lot of positive experiences with the First Nations people up there, especially the kids.
It was really an amazing thing to do. Yeah, we actually did it in Keria too, but we were right in the middle of it, and the chief who hired me, John Allen French, got voted out.
So that was the end of that
I
part
got
of
voted
it.
out too.
Okay, well, you have it in English, and it's very moving. It's fantastic.
Well, that's something I want to do with the local people around Quesnel, if anyone wants to take it on, is to translate it into the Carrier from
here.
it's a totally
Okay.
different dialect.
Maybe we could get some contacts because I know that they are taking some of the Central Carrier and putting it into the Southern Carrier dialect for UNBC courses.
That's right.
So I know somebody that's working on that. We'll talk about that.
Great.
Okay. So we want to save water, and instead we're going to be using sawdust. You want
That's
to talk
right,
a little
yeah.
bit about that?
Sure. Now, if you're going to flush, the average person flushes 6 times a day. And that, if you figure that out at 6 liters per flush, which is the normal toilet, I know they have some that conserve a bit of water, but let's just talk with the average on it right now. I've talked to a few people that actually flush 12 times a day. So this is a good average. What you're doing is the 5-gallon buckets of water or jugs of water, you're flushing 2 of those down the toilet every day. So in 1 month, you're flushing 60 buckets of water. And
Wow.
yeah,
That's a lot of water. And one thing I would like you to address a little bit about that is why isn't it just okay to use as much water as we can? Because here we have the Fraser River. It's coming in, it goes through our house, and then goes back into the Fraser. Why is that bad?
well, Nate, like we're in God's country right here. Like in northern BC, we have one of the hugest supplies of water in the world, and it's pure. It's just beautiful water. There's places like Calcutta. There's places in even New Orleans where the water is just not of the quality that we have. But that's still no reason to waste it.
Right. So the principle of not wasting water is still valid no matter where you are.
That's right. Even more so here, because if we can take care of our water, then think about what we can pass on to the future generations, some places that are crying for water right now.
That's right. Oh, okay. So we could, other people might be able to use that. We could help others to have more water.
That's right.
Okay. So there's a contest coming up.
There is, like I have a group on Facebook, and it's called Water, and what you have to, like the first 50 people that sign up will be getting 2 free buckets from a local company, and also $10 worth of sawdust from another local company.
Okay.
And one of them will win a grand prize. And I do have something here. This is the Hot Composting Toilet Contest Water. This is the winning number. And somewhere within those 50, there is the number, and the number is in here. Nate, you are the guardian of the number.
Okay, I will watch it. Human Log Movement. Eddie deSouza, president, and they're gonna the first 50 people out of the first 50 people, somebody's gonna win the grand prize.
That's right. One of the numbers between 1 and 50 will be the grand prize winner.
Okay, we'll watch it. We'll put it in the security box and make sure that nobody gets around to it. Okay. So,
Now, getting back to sawdust. If you can
Yeah.
imagine 60 containers of or 65-gallon buckets of water going down the toilet every month, can you estimate how much sawdust the person would be using?
Ton?
2 buckets.
2 buckets. Oh, that's all.
Two 5-gallon containers of sawdust.
Oh, because you hardly
60.
use any.
Yes. What you have to do is think about your kitty litter box and think what you do with that, and it's just covering up the logs.
So the thing is though, Eddie, it sounds like outlandish to some people, but I mean, with RVs, a lot of them have composting toilets, right?
They do, and most of them are chemical toilets. So.
Oh, I see.
So, and then you got the smell, and you got the flies, and you got all that other stuff.
So this is, if done properly, I read in your material, you really won't have smells. You won't have, and you won't have flies. You won't have anything. It'll be just.
That's right.
Okay.
I actually have some property by Takla Lake that I bought,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been experimenting with this. I have another book
Mm-hmm.
on the water website. It's called Humanure Handbook,
Mm-hmm.
and it's by Joseph Jenkins, and
Mm-hmm.
it is an amazing book.
Okay. So we've got a contest going. I understand, though, that you want to talk to our audience a little bit in terms of getting them to really think about this idea through answering some questions.
That's right, yes. There's some questions that I have that I don't really have the answers for, and I was wondering if anyone in the audience would be kind enough to answer these questions. That would be really good. The first one is, okay, so we've got hot composting. What about a methane plant? Could we somehow come up with a way to create methane from our compost to create even
energy.
more energy?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
The other one that I'm really concerned about is a lot of people are on medication. And this is something I know very little about because I don't pop pills at all, either prescription or over-the-counter drugs. But like when we do hot compost, do those drugs get destroyed, or do they go back in and contaminate our soil and possibly our food supply? And my third question would be, in the frozen north, we have a very short period of time when we can hot compost. Is there any way that we could compost through the wintertime? So if you have any of those questions, you're more than welcome to post them on the water site, on Facebook, or email me, or phone me up.
So let's talk about that Facebook page again. How have you set it up, and how do you get into it?
Okay, well, like you just go to, like you sign up for a water or for a Facebook account, and then you go to, like there's a little tab where you search Facebook, and
So everybody in the world except for me knows about this.
but I can teach you, Nate. It's very easy.
Okay. I know it's easy. I tried to have it, and people want to be friends and all this stuff, and people that I don't know, though, Eddie. But anyway, I'm sure that they could get into your Facebook and supply some answers, start a dialogue.
Yeah, well,
that's really what you want.
That's right. There's a discussion tab on the water page. There's actually 130 people who have joined the site now.
Oh, really?
And some of them are quite active, like.
Great.
So yeah.
So now, before we finish here, we do want to give a little bit more of an understanding about how you create a composting toilet. And you were talking to J.R. Goodwin, who is also a musician, but not all. But in this particular thing, he's not a musician. He really believes in composting toilets too.
He sure does. And let's break away to that video right now.
Okay.
Well, hi everybody. I'm here with John Goodwin, my good friend.
Hey, welcome to my humble basement.
Right, and John today is like not going to be a musician. He's actually going to show us how to build a composting toilet and tell us a tiny bit about how or why he wants to be a part of this.
Well, yeah, Eddie showed me this website, and I hope I'm not taking any ideas, but everywhere that I've played in festivals all over the country, they got these toilets, and they got to bring them in. They're very expensive, and they got to have somebody in there to empty them out every day, all your chemical toilets and stuff, and they really smell, and you can't get away with flies. And so I would really, everywhere I went, I looked for ideas, and when I spotted this one, or when Eddie told me about this site and I checked it out, I thought, this is so simple, because all the time that I'm working in the garden outside in my backyard, I've got 3 acres, and I need to go. Wow, I don't want to run all the way to the house. By the time I get there, I can't go no more. So I'd like to have something in my garden or close to the compost, somewhere near the woodshed, just anywhere that is private and comfortable. This does not smell, doesn't collect flies, you don't even know it's there. And so anyway, that's my enthusiasm about this idea. So what I did is I started looking around, and I found this old lid off a box, a plywood box, 3/4 inch plywood, and it's got already had a piano hinge on it. And so I thought, well, I measured out the toilet seat, and it already had a finger hole in it to start cutting from. So I set the toilet seat on there, and I'll show you the one in a few minutes. So I kind of measured from the edge how far it would be to put your little board in there to keep it centered on your bucket. So this one is a little bit bigger, and there's no reason why you can't make even a 2-holer if you really want to. And so this was a hole that I cut out of the first one. No, by no means perfectly round, but it'll do the job. And besides, I didn't use anything new. I just picked up stuff that was laying around the house here. And so there's the hole. So you take the drill. All you need for tools is the drill to drill one hole, just to get your saw started, right? Okay. And this would be the tool that you use to cut your hole out. A little jigsaw.
Jigsaw.
Yeah, so you can go around in a big circle. Now, to do that, sometimes I would set it up and put my knee on it, but sometimes I even nail it down to hold the plywood by myself when I'm by myself. Now, because when you set this on the bucket and you sit on it when it's just in the open or not attached to anything, it is tippy. So if you're a young person or people like that, but if you're elderly or a little bit off balance a little bit, you might want to have something more sturdy. And so instead of building a whole cabinet around it, I decided that if you were to cut a piece of plywood, this is just a board, and it might split on you, but you might want to have it at least 17 inches. So you can go over 16 inches so you can reach 2 studs in your building. And just tack it on there. And you tack this part to the wall. And this will never tip on you. It sits nice and solid. And it lifts up when you want to lift your bucket. And we'll go to that and have a look at the one that I finished making. Hi. Okay, here's the one that I just finished building, and this took me maybe, well, it might be 20 minutes or a half hour because I had to figure out the measurements. But once you make one, they're a lot easier to make. Now, the reason I put it up on a 4x4 and a piece of plywood is it was just too low. And I find that a lot of people have to have the seat built up even in their own home. And so, this piece of plywood, it's got the boards around the bottom to center it on the bucket. Okay, you can take the bucket out, and because it's attached to the wall, and I just tacked it on for now, but you need one long enough to reach 2 studs, wherever you're going to put it. And that'll just hang there while you empty your bucket. And the idea here is to have sawdust, another bucket of sawdust and a can or something, and cover whatever you do, just cover it up, and it stays with no flies and no smell. And it's the most beautiful, simplest thing you could ever think of. And just like that, lift it up, make sure the bucket's centered okay. Now this part here, now I wanted to explain a simpler way. I didn't realize that I had a couple of lag screws, but when you put the lid on, what I did is I drilled holes, and then I realized that they were, and so I had to put nuts on the bottom, and they will come loose. But if you use a lag screw like this, if you use a couple of these with a washer and just a 7/16 3/8 drive, tap them in and screw them in, they'll stay tight forever. And I just use little headless screw nails to nail my 2x under here. You can use screws. I just put it together quickly just to see what it would look like. To look underneath, I just use, it's about a 1.5 by 2 or something. I notched it out a little bit around the corner to fit the bucket. And these ones are just side ones that just hold it from going in. It's just to line the bucket up so it stays in the proper place under the hole.
And they're held on?
They're just held on by just little 2.5-inch headless screws, or headless nails, little finish nails.
From
But
the top?
anyone could use screws for this.
From the top or the bottom?
I nailed it from the top down.
Okay.
So
And
that,
did you bang them over, toenail
Yes.
them? You did,
Yeah.
okay.
now, would you like to see it in action?
No thanks.
So now we have a specific idea of exactly what can be done. And just one thing, do you think about this more for rural areas? But it could eventually someday happen right in the city.
Well, you see, we're very fortunate in Quesnel because we're surrounded by farm people who know a lot about hot composting, whereas I know very little. I'm just skimming the surface, but I would love to go out and find people that know about it. And like Quesnel, to take it on, I mean, how much money would we be saving? Like, because we have the sewage systems, we have like the
Right.
treatment of water.
Right.
Like, we could be saving millions, right? And that money could go towards the deficit.
Exactly.
Not being a politician, I don't
Yeah,
know what I'm
either
talking
do
about.
that's a long time ago. But in terms of people getting more involved, what would you like to see?
I would like to see someone build a composting toilet, and if
And
they-
advertise it and let people know, raise the public awareness.
raise awareness and possibly not make a subject that is taboo anymore. Like, let's just say, hey, this is a part of the way we need to look at the future, and hopefully in 10 years from now, the kids will be saying,
Well, there's so many, the whole thing is that, things that were happening that 30 years ago, people were saying, let's do this, and they were laughed at. Now they're in the mainstream.
that's right.
So I'm sure that this is going to happen here. I mean, we're just getting smarter as human beings.
You mean I'm going to be laughed at?
No, you're not. Well, in another life, you like to be laughed with, when you're eating spaghetti. But I mean, right now, it's a serious idea. But people you got to get over the idea that it's the human log movement.
That's right.
But I do have the winner,
the winning number.
number here. So you'll let me know what's going on, and we'll tell people as time goes on. And
Okay.
and by the way, good luck. I know you have a great TV show. You're the star. You're my colleague on another one. But thanks for coming in to talk about something a little more serious, sort of. And good luck in this endeavor.
And thank you very much, Nate, for having me in. It's been a real pleasure to come in and chat with you.
Thanks, Eddie. Hi, welcome back. And I want to thank Eddie deSouza for being my guest, and good luck, as I said at the end, with all his future movements. But anyway, that was a lot of fun, and you never know, an idea whose time may have come.